One initially on their website, another one during a joint inquiry that they had before 9/11 commission, and then when they had the 9/11 commission investigation, they had a third timeline. And the two chairmen,
you're talking about,
Thomas Keane and McCain, K-E-A-N, and I think it was Lee Hamilton, were chairmen, were very disturbed by that. And they wanted to send it to the Department of Justice, but they didn't have the money at the time. I think they had a lot of pressure. And,
I'm not going to say, I don't think that that Clinton wanted this to happen, but I certainly think that his policies that were anti-military, anti-intelligence spending led to this. And I mean, even actually, if you read the 9/11 Commission report, it actually details it heavily. But unless you actually read it, I don't mean you, but I mean the media. If you don't actually read it, you're not going to know this because the media doesn't even report that. They actually almost. If you read, like, even in the first chapter, it does in everything but completely blame Clinton for eliminating NORAD, and they blame the inactiveness of NORAD from being able to prevent at least the second plane from hitting the World Trade Center.
Let me get up Clinton this for a second. Dick Cheney himself said on, I think it was Meet the Press, that he got into, I don't know if he said this during the commission meeting, because him and Bush refused to testify under oath in the commission chambers, in front of the public, C-SPAN. You know about that? And they refused.
Well, yeah, they didn't want to testify because they wanted to go through the commission rather than.
And apparently Cheney said he got into the bunker where he practically ran the show under the White House and Capitol building at 10 a.m. But Norman Mineta, the secretary of the TSA, testified under oath that Cheney was in there at 9:15 a.m. So that's another thing they want to know, why he said he got there at 10 after the attacks were over. But there are people, including Richard Clark, the counterterrorism chief, said that he was in there at 9:15.
I mean, you think
strange things.
They'd have to know that the terrorists had taken the planes well before the first one hit, because they're in, the pilots are in constant communication. Right. So.
Well, why didn't they discuss the Tripod 2, which was a bioterrorist drill being run by Giuliani the day before? It was being set up the morning of 9/11 for the next day. So they had everything, the triage center on Barclay Street already set up, and FEMA was already in town. Ever hear about that?
No, I would think that might be a coincidence, because I don't know that Giuliani.
What happened to 14 war games? The drills go on. The commission always said there was 4.
It's like that 80s
There was 15, and they took all the F-16s as far away as possible. And it sounds like they were doing a stand down, so they couldn't respond in time.
I actually have.
And I have 1,800 of those type facts written down at home. That's mind-blowing. Like the Port Authority owned, I know this is getting more into conspiracy theories, but the Port Authority owned the trade centers for 30 years. And you heard about 8 weeks before, Larry Silverstein took over ownership, took out a multi-billion-dollar
I know that,
insurance policy.
I think it was...
right, Larry Silverstein?
I don't know, but
he took out a $1 billion policy. He collected $12 billion on the terrorist attacks.
Wow.
So there's a lot of strange things, But like I said, I got 1,800 of them, and the New Jersey widows who fought to get the commission investigation, their husbands are with Cantor Fitzgerald, the executive. I guess they were the business.
See, I mean, a lot of that stuff though is hard to. It's hard really to prove, because unless you know people that are going to tell you outright, you're not going to know that.
Right.
But some of the more obvious stuff, like the intelligence spending, if you go to FAS.org, it'll tell you exactly the huge decrease in spending, and that's not like decrease in additional spending.
Right.
That's actually significantly less spending.
Okay. We see if there's anything that could be more convincing here. How about there are things like verified, and you can see this on ABC, CBS, Fox News, that John Ashcroft was warned not to fly the night before 9/11. You know that? And several other officials. Of course, you probably hate the word neocon because the liberals overuse that term, neocon.
Yeah, I've never been called that.
You heard of the 100-page document that the Project for New American Century, which were members of the Bush administration before they even existed, wrote that we need an overhaul in our military-industrial complex and military spending, and the only way we're going to get the change we need is if we have another Pearl Harbor. You ever hear that? So that's written right here.
Well, when was that said? Because
right here it says, the build-up would proceed slowly absent some catastrophic catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor, and they said that exactly 1 year before 9/11. The BBC also reported after 9/11.
Yeah.
Hijackers were alive.
It could just be a coincidence, because who was that other guy that said that man is at his zenith when we're at war?
What was it again?
So, some famous guy said, man is at their zenith when they're at war, which, you know, I don't agree with, but, you know, it could just be a coincidence that the guy said that a year later.
Right. Well,
I mean, I
only started investigating this a year ago, because for 7 years, I was like everybody else. The people who say to me it was an inside job, and I'd say you're nuts, so they talk to me. And then someone said, I watched Loose Change, the famous movie. You know Loose Change?
I haven't actually seen it, but I've heard about it.
You guys want to take a look at it?
Yeah, I'll take a copy of it.
It's
cool,
kind of like a beginning thing, but I got 12 other DVDs that were made by CIA agents.
Your website or anything? Or?
I don't really have a personal website. I'm trying to think of the best one to go to.
Like who are you? Is this just for you, or
this is for actually? We Are Changed Florida is a website you can go to, but they just changed their website. Really, they got facts of 9/11 on there, but like I said, I compiled 1,800 facts that are like conspiracy. Like I leave out the building, demolitions, and the missiles to the Pentagon. I leave all that out, and only the stuff we could discuss. You'd be like blown away when you research it. I've had a hardcore. I'm not saying you're conservative. I'm saying hardcore. I'll say redneck conservative. You know, I got friends that I joke like I've been here since I was 11. But people that you never ever would change their mind. Not only have changed their mind, but now they're part of the truth movement now.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing.
It's unbelievable. But you know about the false flag operations in the past, right?
The what?
The false flag operations.
No.
Operation Northwoods. How we were. This is confirmed by Robert McNamara in Why We Fight. And there's documents. It's called Operation Northwoods. Have you heard of it? We were going to, after the failure of Bay Pigs, we were going to go ahead and do simulated terrorist attacks, or actually actual terrorist attacks on college students on spring break in Miami, and going over to Cuba and even DC. We were going to actually attack them and make it look like Cubans did it.
Oh,
and then attack Cuba. Did you ever hear that? That's a true document. Jim Bamford, doesn't even believe 9/11 was
There's probably a lot of that stuff that maybe don't hear.
Vietnam War, the Tonkin Resolution was a false. LBJ said that we were attacked by fighter planes. It turned out that was false. Yeah. That was a false flag operation. FDR knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen, and he let it happen. All that's confirmed now by even the History Channel. So there's a lot of history of false flag operations. So, all right, thanks for listening. Let's make sure you guys have a lot of patience, though.